All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We are tackling a topic that is just absolutely dominating the tech landscape right now. I mean, seriously, you can't scroll for 2 seconds without tripping over an AI agent post, right? The whole world is completely abuzz with agentic AI systems and their massive potential. And if you're building, innovating, or just keeping up with the tech world, you already know that AI agents are the new frontier. But jumping into this frontier, it comes with a pretty serious hurdle. And that brings us to the core of what we're unpacking today.
So you decide you want to build an agentic system. You're ready to harness all that power. You start looking for the absolute best framework to get the job done, and immediately, bam, you are hit with this tidal wave of massive names. LangChain, LangGraph, CrewAI, AutoGen, Semantic Kernel. Look, they're all incredibly powerful, and they all promise to completely revolutionize your workflow. But the sheer volume of options, it leads to a very specific, very modern kind of paralysis. Out of all of these, which one do you actually pick?
You know exactly what happens next. You find yourself staring at your monitor with like 17 GitHub tabs open, 5 different Medium blog posts bookmarked to read later, and you are still completely clueless on how to actually start coding. We have all been there. It's the ultimate paradox of choice, isn't it? You just want to start your build, but the noise is deafening. So let's see if we can quiet that noise together and find a super clear, structured path forward.
Let's start with defining agentic AI frameworks. Think of an agentic framework essentially as your master toolkit. It gives you the core building blocks you need for deploying and managing agentic systems. Because we're not talking about a basic chatbot here, the kind where you just ask a simple question and get a generic answer. An actual agentic system does a massive amount of complex planning, acting, and iterating. And to do that efficiently, you need predefined architectures, you need task management capabilities, and you need robust communication protocols. These frameworks basically bundle all of that together so you can start building with some real agility.
Let's ground this in reality with a practical example. Just imagine you've got an agent designed to analyze sales data. What is actually happening behind the scenes? Well, first, this agent has to go query a database and extract the right information. Second, it analyzes that data, running all the necessary calculations. Third, it generates a report, crafts a summary, and routes it to the correct stakeholder. There is a lot of heavy coordination happening here. Now imagine introducing multiple agents working together to do this. The complexity absolutely skyrockets. And that exponential complexity is exactly why building from scratch is a total nightmare, and why these frameworks are basically non-negotiable.
Number 1. Linear workflows. Step-by-step progress.
So this first type of system is all about predictability. Things have to progress in a strict step-by-step sequence. You always know exactly what's going to happen next. Consider a customer-facing support agent. A user asks a question, right? Step 1, the agent takes the query and searches the internal knowledge base. Step 2, it crafts a relevant response and sends it back. Step 3, it takes an additional structured action, like automatically creating a Jira support ticket. These flows need to be highly reliable, totally non-exploratory, and tightly controlled. You don't want multiple AI agents brainstorming here. You just need flawless execution of a set sequence.
So what are the actionable tools for this kind of linear setup? Well, if you need multiple steps to happen in a very specific, reliable sequence, LangChain is a fantastic choice. Now, if your linear application is incredibly heavy on data retrieval and indexing, Llama Index is absolutely your go-to. And if you're dealing with a much more complex linear setup, LangGraph, which actually comes from the creators of LangChain, is highly suitable for mapping out those intricate winding steps.
Moving to number 2, autonomous systems, open-ended AI goals.
Okay, here, the vibe shifts entirely. We are moving far away from those predictable, rigid sequences and entering the wild realm of open-ended goals. In an autonomous system, you just give the AI a goal and you let it figure out the how on its own. It's super common here to see multiple agents collaborating completely freely. A perfect example is an AI coding assistant. You might have a planner agent that architects the entire solution, a coder agent that actually writes the Python or JavaScript, and a reviewer agent that checks for bugs and makes optimizations. They are constantly talking back and forth, collaborating without rigid scripts to deliver the best code possible to hit that shared goal. For these highly exploratory environments where problems are open-ended, you need frameworks that truly support dynamic agent communication. AutoGen is absolutely fantastic for this scenario. You could also look into some experimental setups like Baby AGI, which is frankly just fascinating to tinker with. CrewAI is another exceptionally powerful framework when you're designing systems where agents just need to freely collaborate to figure out a shared objective.
Now, before we hit our third category, let's look at a really crucial comparison. Autonomous systems are all about that open-ended, free-flowing collaboration.
But what if you want teamwork, but you kind of don't want the agents doing whatever they want? What if you need collaboration, but with strict boundaries and constraints? That bridges us perfectly into our next framework type.
Number 3, role-based systems. Defined, clear boundaries.
Think of this one as a highly disciplined multi-agent setup. Just like the autonomous systems, you have multiple agents communicating to hit a goal. But the distinct difference here is that each agent operates strictly within the confines of a defined role description. They have clear lanes, and they do not cross them. Take a content generation workflow, for example. You've got a researcher agent that fetches material from the web. You have a writer agent that reviews the research and drafts the article. And you have an editor agent that reviews and tweaks the final draft. They discuss the project, sure, but the writer is never going to start doing the researcher's job. Strict boundaries.
If you're looking to build this kind of role-based team, CrewAI is highly applicable here too. Interestingly, you can actually adapt AutoGen for this as well, provided you build really rigid structural rules around it. And there are also some incredibly cool niche frameworks designed for very specific role-based tasks. For instance, ChatDev is an excellent choice if you're working specifically on software development tasks with a defined virtual team.
Number 4, production orchestration, real-world integration.
This right here is what happens when your AI project finally graduates from the experimentation phase and enters a deep real-world system. Production systems require intensive integration with external APIs, proprietary company databases, and existing complex business workflows. Picture an AI operations agent sitting inside a real-world enterprise. It has to detect live system alerts, comb through technical documentation, execute complex automation scripts to actually fix the issue, and finally send operational summaries to the human team on Slack. This is multi-layered, enterprise-grade complexity. No cutting corners here. When you are moving into full-blown production mode, you need frameworks that can handle that kind of pressure and heavy orchestration. A prime choice here is the Agent framework, which is essentially this remarkably powerful combination of Semantic Kernel and AutoGen, making it suitable for both heavy orchestration and autonomous workflows. LangGraph is another ultimate choice here, absolutely excelling at well-structured, deeply multi-layered applications in those rigorous enterprise-grade environments.
Number 5, rapid prototyping, quickly validating ideas.
You know, sometimes you just don't need a perfect production-ready architecture. Sometimes you've just got a hypothesis, and you need to see if your crazy idea will actually work before committing weeks to a massive code build. Rapid prototyping is dedicated purely to speed and validation. The frameworks here give you a graphical user interface. It's all about having a visual canvas where you can literally drag and drop components, visually connect language models to workflows, and test your ideas instantly. If you need this kind of visual speed, tools like LangFlow and Flowise are exactly what you're looking for.
Section 6. Choosing your ideal framework. What will you build?
Okay, here's your ultimate reference cheat sheet. If your goal is predictable step-by-step logic, you're building a linear workflow, and you should grab LangChain or Llama Index. If your problem is super exploratory and you want the agents to figure it out, that's an autonomous system, go grab AutoGen. If you need teamwork but with strict defined lanes, you're building a role-based system, making CrewAI your target. If you are integrating deeply into business systems and APIs, you need production orchestration, like Agent Framework or LangGraph. And if you're just validating a quick idea visually, rapid prototyping with LangFlow or Flowise is absolutely your answer. So the absolutely crucial paradigm shift here is this. Because these frameworks are optimized for entirely different things, it makes absolutely zero sense to pit them all against each other in a vacuum. Do not ask which framework is the best. That is the wrong question entirely. Instead, ask yourself, what kind of system am I actually trying to build? Once you define your architecture, whether that's a rigid pipeline, a team of creative agents, or a heavy enterprise integration, the right framework essentially selects itself.
And that brings us to the end of our roadmap. You now have the taxonomy, you have the practical examples, and you have the exact frameworks mapped to the exact systems they were built to support. It is time to go close out those 17 GitHub tabs, delete the overwhelm, and get back to what really matters, creating. So I'll leave you with this. Which agentic AI framework will you build with next? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.